My girlfriend accused me of being controlling for not giving her full access to my savings. I dumped her and cut her off completely. I'm 30, male, living in a mid-sized American city. I work as a financial analyst for a local firm which pays decently, and I've spent the last few years slowly growing my savings. Nothing extravagant, just enough to feel secure if emergencies pop up or if I ever decide to buy a small place. My girlfriend and I have been dating for almost a year, and in that time, I thought we were building a solid connection. But as it turns out, she had different expectations for how my money should be used, and that's what started the spiral. A month ago, I was in the kitchen making coffee when she strolled in, casually remarking that she'd been thinking about her future and how my savings could help us both level up. I laughed a bit, thinking she was teasing. Then she said, "I'm serious. We should combine finances. If we're committed, that includes money." The look on her face was dead serious. Now, I'm not opposed to sharing expenses or supporting a partner within reason. But the way she emphasized my savings set off alarm bells. We weren't living together. We weren't engaged. It felt premature to throw all my hard-earned money into a pool she could freely dip into. I tried to remain calm and asked, "What exactly do you have in mind?" She pouted, claiming she wanted full access, not just partial, so she could improve both our lifestyles. She even tossed in a comment about how her girlfriend's boyfriends let them swipe their cards whenever. That afternoon, the tension hung thick as we sat on the couch discussing it further. I explained my stance. I've worked hard to build that cushion. I'm not comfortable handing it over. She shot me a glare, saying, "Well, it's controlling to keep it from me. If you trust me, you shouldn't hide anything." I was floored by how quickly she spun the narrative, making me out to be some stingy dictator, rather than a cautious person trying to protect my own financial security. The conversation spiraled. She started listing what she called examples of controlling behavior, like how I wanted to track my budget, how I wouldn't splurge on certain luxuries she liked. Then she went for the low blow. What kind of man refuses to share with his woman? Are you that insecure? My blood pressure rose. I'd never heard her speak to me like that before. I explained that trust is earned, especially with finances, and we weren't at a place in our relationship where combining money was logical. Her reaction? She called me cheap and stormed out. I honestly thought she'd cool off, maybe realize she was pushing too far too soon, but her sense of entitlement ran deeper than I imagined. Over the next few days, she upped the pressure, leaving texts about how her coworker's fiancé gave her coworker free reign on his account, or how real love meant sharing everything. I started to question whether I was the crazy one for feeling uneasy, but my gut told me to stand firm. A week later, things exploded at a mutual friends gathering. I'd driven us there, and she started telling another couple how I was holding out on her with my finances. She claimed I was smothering her independence by refusing to combine resources. The other couple seemed confused, glancing at me with pity or curiosity. I tried to laugh it off, but internally, I was furious and embarrassed. When we got home that night, I told her we had to talk. That was the conversation that changed everything, because it revealed exactly how entitled and manipulative she could be. We were barely through the front door when she started ranting about how real couples don't keep secrets, and your money is my money if we're in a serious relationship. Her voice was shaky, and I could tell she was riled up from the earlier conversation at our friend's place. I tried to keep my composure, but the more she hammered me with accusations of being controlling, the more I felt my patience slipping. "What gives you the right to call me controlling?" I asked, trying to maintain a calm tone. She fired back, "You decide everything about finances. If I ask to go on a nicer vacation or buy something pricey, you hold your wallet like it's gold." I reminded her that I never told her what to do with her own money. She was free to spend or save however she wished. But apparently, that wasn't enough. She said, "This is different. You have more than me. You should be supporting me if you truly care." That last sentence sparked a nerve. I'd paid for plenty in our time together. Dates, small gifts, even chipped in when she was short on rent. Yet here she was demanding more. It felt less like a relationship and more like I was her personal piggy bank. I told her as much, which made her even angrier. "You're selfish," she hissed. "All you care about is your precious account balance." She even threatened to leave if I didn't open up my savings to her. I stared at her, stunned by the audacity. Threatening to leave? Over money that was legally and morally mine to control? My mind raced, flicking back to the moments I'd overlooked. Subtle hints she was more interested in my financial stability than me. Sensing I was at a crossroads, I tried one last approach. Look, I said, voice steady. If this relationship is about love, then we should respect each other's boundaries. My finances are something I've built. I'm not shutting you out, but I'm not comfortable giving you full access when we're not married or even living together. She rolled her eyes. So, I have to be your wife for you to trust me? Unbelievable. She stomped off to the bedroom and slammed the door. The tension lingered overnight. The next morning, she ambled into the kitchen, arms crossed, wearing an expression of smug resolve. I've made up my mind, she announced. Either you prove you trust me by letting me have a say in your savings, or I'm done. She even tossed out the phrase, financial abuse, which caught me completely off guard. Since when was it abusive to manage my own earnings responsibly? That's when I realized there was no reasoning with her entitlement. She'd formed a narrative in her head that I was some oppressive partner, simply because I didn't want to sign over my bank account. The manipulative tactics, the gaslighting, the public shaming, it all clicked into place. She wanted control, not partnership. A few days later, she tried one more stunt. She told me she had an amazing investment opportunity, one that required a significant chunk from my savings. When I pressed for details, she got cagey and couldn't provide real numbers or any proof that it was legit. I realized it was just another angle to pry open my wallet. That was the final straw for me. I knew I had to act before she dug deeper into my life. I decided it was time to end things. My decision felt sudden yet liberating, like a burst of clarity after months of denial. Over the phone, I asked her to meet in my apartment so we could talk. She arrived, immediately launching into her usual spiel. Have you come to your senses yet? I forced a tight smile and said, we need to break up. Her face went slack, disbelief turning into anger. You're dumping me over money? She sneered. I corrected her. No, I'm ending this because you're obsessed with what's mine and you refuse to respect my boundaries. She erupted, calling me every name under the sun. Cheap, controlling, a man-child who can't handle a real relationship. Then she tried the tears, claiming she'd never find anyone else who'd take care of her. But I remained resolute. The emotional roller coaster was done. As she grabbed her purse, she threatened to tell everyone I was financially abusive. She even said she'd post on social media about how I kept her poor. I stood my ground, ignoring her threats. I'd built a solid reputation as a fair, decent guy. If she wanted to spin tales, let her. Truth was on my side. In the days following our breakup, she texted nonstop. Calls, messages, voicemails. Most either tearfully begging for another chance or lashing out, accusing me of ruining her life. I blocked her on all platforms. That's when she started showing up at my office building, waiting by the entrance. One morning, she confronted me as I walked in, wailing that I was being unfair. I told security to escort her off the premises. A mutual friend later informed me she was telling people I was a paranoid control freak who locked down his finances to dominate her. While it stung to hear my reputation drag through the mud, I also felt relief that I'd cut ties. If this was her default reaction to not getting her way, I dodged a major bullet. One evening, I got a call from an unknown number. It was her mother, of all people, scolding me for breaking my girlfriend's heart and how a real man shares his wealth. I ended the call quickly, astounded by how deeply the entitlement seemed to run in her family. Not long after, another mutual acquaintance said she was trying to get legal advice, claiming I owed her money for emotional distress. It sounded like a desperate bluff. There was no contract or common law marriage. She had no grounds to sue me. Still, it showed how far she'd go to get a payday. Despite the chaos, my life gradually normalized. Work was busy, and I found comfort in close friends who supported my decision. They saw the red flags I'd been too blind to spot earlier. They reminded me that finances often reveal a person's true character, and I couldn't help but agree. My ex's sense of entitlement was staggering. and the meltdown she had when faced with healthy boundaries confirmed she wasn't the one for me. Yet part of me feared she'd try one final, dramatic move, something more than just social media ranting or phone calls. And sure enough, she did. It happened on a Monday morning, just as I was heading out the door to work. There she stood on my doorstep, wearing a forced smile and holding a small box. "A peace offering," she said. The tension in her voice suggested otherwise. She extended the box, claiming she'd gotten me a gift to show she was serious about making amends. I hesitated, but curiosity got the better of me. I opened it. Inside was a cheap trinket, definitely not worth any symbolic significance. I realized it was just a prop for another manipulative stunt. Before I could speak, she pounced. "If I can prove I've changed, will you reconsider? Let me in, let's talk." I felt a surge of frustration. "We've talked enough. I'm not interested in a relationship where my finances are a battlefield." She tried to wedge her way past me into my apartment, voice quivering. "I promise I'll never demand your money again. I just need some stability right now." That did it. My suspicion soared. The entire argument was about her wanting my funds. Now she was framing it as a stability issue. Drawing a steady breath, I told her firmly, "You need to leave." She protested, tears forming again, calling me heartless. I stepped back, letting her know I'd call the police if she refused. That broke the last semblance of composure. She hurled insults, said I'd regret losing someone who was willing to fight for me, then stormed off. I locked the door, pressing my forehead against it. Relief and anger mingled as I heard her footsteps fade. By that afternoon, I changed my locks and installed a simple security camera. I blocked the last known numbers she had used to contact me. I also reached out to a lawyer friend who assured me there was no legal standing for her to claim my savings or press charges for emotional distress. He suggested I keep any messages or evidence of harassment, just in case. In the following weeks, she attempted a few more theatrics, sending mutual acquaintances to talk sense into me, posting vague rants on social media about betrayal. But her influence waned once people saw the pattern. She was fixated on money and control. Meanwhile, I felt more liberated each day. The black cloud of tension had lifted, replaced by a renewed sense of self-respect. I realized that the trust I'd tried to build in that relationship was one-sided. She viewed me as a financial opportunity, not a partner. When I refused to give her what she wanted, she weaponized accusations of control and abuse, revealing just how toxic she could be. Cutting her off completely, financially, emotionally, and socially, wasn't just an act of self-preservation. It was an affirmation that I wouldn't let anyone undermine my autonomy. Now, months later, I'm thriving. My savings remain intact, and I've channeled that money toward a down payment on a small condo, a dream I'd always had. I'm in a better mental space, too, and more careful about who I let into my personal life. Sometimes people ask if I regret how it ended. I don't. I regret not seeing the red flags sooner. But once the truth came out, I made the right move.